It's quite easy to quantify our global depletion of land with far too much of it being used for the wrong purpose. I mean, you can see this just about everywhere. This is how much land is being used to raise livestock. 45% of the entire land mass on Earth. Now, how ridiculous is this figure? Well, it was documented by the International Livestock Research Institute. So most likely this 45% figure was underestimated. In the U.S. alone, nearly 78% of all land used for agriculture is used in some way to support the animals we eat. But listen to this. There are 90 million cattle in the U.S. today, 70 million pigs. Only 3% of all those are being pastured, only 1% of all livestock in general, and yet we're still using this much land. If we factor in public lands for grazing, livestock account for 97% of all land used for agriculture in our country. It's simply terribly inefficient. You can produce 15 times more protein from plants as you can from meat on any given area of land. You can produce anywhere from 5,000 to 45,000 pounds of plant foods on 1 acre of land versus 480 pounds, at best, at stretching at best, of meat or animal products on 1 acre, regardless of what Joel Salatin and the polyphase farm proponents will tell you. It's shocking, knowing just how much land on Earth is used for raising animals, how terribly inefficient this really is. There are nearly 1 billion people suffering from hunger. This year alone, 6 million children will die from starvation. How does that all relate? Well, 82% of the world's starving children live in countries where food is fed to animals that are then killed and eaten by more well-off individuals in developed countries, such as the U.S., U.K., and Europe. 1/4 of all grain produced by third world countries is now given to livestock in their country or out. Now, to be sure, world hunger has many layers of complexity. One of the larger reasons is tied to poverty. But another significant factor is the looming shadow of our current demand to eat livestock and fish, which is indirectly tied to poverty. In fact, eating these animals ultimately affects food prices, food availability, policymaking, and even suppresses education to improve agricultural systems in developing countries. In 2012, there was considered a record harvest of grain in the world, 2.6 billion tons. But half of that was fed to animals in the meat and dairy industries. 77% of all coarse grains produced in the world now go to livestock. We can't blame climate change then, droughts or flooding, for the world's food security issues. Most of our food's going to the wrong place. Solving world hunger, though, is not as easy as simply giving them the grain that would normally go to livestock. That's always been an argument, hasn't it? Solving hunger in developing countries, I think, demands a multi-dimensional approach to sustainability, establishing it on many levels, simultaneously with organic plant-based food systems at the nucleus. The model for success at reducing hunger in developing countries, I believe, should look like this. There are over 2 million NGOs in the world, 1 million of them conducting humanitarian efforts. So we're not lacking good people who want to do good deeds, and care packages of food are necessary as a short-term acute patch. But all that's not going to solve world hunger. They don't need more handouts. These people need the tools to create sustainability for themselves, long-term and through many layers. More than 80% of the population in most developing countries, especially Africa, are rural subsistence farmers living in poverty and illiteracy. So these are the layers of sustainability that can be achieved for them, all centered around a purely plant-based, soil rebuilding, climate change resilient system. Therefore, no livestock.